Hello everybody. So today we are going to talk about the lesson plan 2, that is word pictures. So you need our aim for today is to identify and analyze the literary or figurative devices in a poem. So before I move forward, there are certain terms that we need to revisit. Identify, it means to find out. It means to find out. Okay. Next word is analyze. Analyze is when we read something, we bring out elements from that, or what we can call a discovery, right? So the literary or figurative devices, and literary and figurative device, we have already done it, but I'm going to repeat it right now. It basically means it is a technique which is used by the poet. I am referring to poet here because we are talking about a poem, right? So it is a technique which the writers use. It can be the author, the storyteller, or the poet to create an effect on the reader. For example, if I just straight away teach you, you will not like my teaching, but sometimes I use humor. I sometimes crack jokes in between to make my teaching effective. In the similar way, the writer use certain things to make their write-up effective. Now, what kind of figurative devices are we looking for? So this picture shows the different kinds of figurative devices that we have to deal with. So in this section, we will majorly talk about these two figurative devices, which we had already done in the class when I was explaining about the poem, the descriptive poem, the sea. Alliteration we have done, personification we have done. These two we will not touch right now. For today's class, we are going to concentrate on only these two elements. Okay. Next, before I move forward, there is certain things that we need to keep in mind. There are keywords. Keywords are the important words that we have to use. There are 4 keywords for this plan. Descriptive means that something is describing something. For example, my favorite drawing is that of an apple. But this time my apple is blue in color. So I am talking about this blue apple who is quite large and bulky. It is really juicy. So what did I do? Instead of calling it just an apple, I use certain words to make it descriptive. I have started describing that. Okay? Realistic, I have told you how to understand the meaning. We will break the word. Right? Real means something which is not imaginary, something which is true. Realistic, we are referring to something as they are in our real life. Imaginary, I think I don't have to explain this word to you. Imaginary means something which is not real. So these two words are a bit opposite to one another. Last is metaphor. So if you remember, we have done the uh, explanation of this word called metaphor. It means when we compare two unlike or two different things and we imagine one thing as something else. For example, she is a rose. So what did I do? I am talking about a girl, and what am I doing here? I am directly comparing this girl to a rose. I am saying she is a rose. That means I am doing a direct comparison of a girl to a rose. This becomes the metaphor. I think when I was taking the class, I had explained you that how can we change a metaphor into a simile. First of all, let me come back. What is a simile? A simile is a comparison between two objects. Okay? So two object, two person or whatever it is. And that comparison is based on one similarity. Right? The only difference between a simile and a metaphor is usage of these two words. Simile mein, this is a cheat code. We use as, we use like. Right? She is, if I have to make it a simile, I will say she is as beautiful as a rose. What did I do? I compared a girl with a rose, and this is the similarity. The beauty is the similarity. But when I was talking about the metaphor, what did I do? I directly said she is a rose. I'm not telling any specification why she is a rose. I'm directly comparing her to a rose. So the poet has used this technique in this poem. Majorly, it is this technique only, because the poet has compared a sea to a dog. See, so if you read the first line, it says the sea is a hungry dog. That's it. Now, there's a small video that is there. I don't know whether it is going to be played or not. I tried my level best. Let's see. Hmm. Okay. Now this picture of the sea is there, and the sea is compared to a hungry dog who is giant and grey. So if you look at the images, he rolls on the beach all day. So what is a poet doing? It is helping you to create the image. Sea is compared to a hungry dog. So these words help you to compare the sea to a hungry dog. Okay. Now what we do, if you look at the first stanza in your book, it has certain words. Just a second. It has certain words. Giant and grey, clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. In my previous video also, I have explained this. The words are used to create an image of a hungry dog. You can use that video to understand that how the image of a hungry dog is created, right? Nose, rumbling, tumbling, stones, bones, bones, bones. What do? They help you to create the image of something dangerous or risky. Repetition of bones add the dark effect. Dark effect is actually the same thing that we have done in the previous video. It gives you the element of fear, something which is not good or which is not pleasant. Now, similarly, you will go through the three stanzas. Stanza number 1, stanza number 2, I hope this is 2, and stanza number 3. If you read them carefully, what are you going to observe here is, sorry, first thing, the sea is a hungry dog. So the poet is directly comparing the sea to a hungry dog. The poet is also giving the explanation. He's telling what the dog is doing throughout the day. There's an element of clashing teeth and shaggy jaws, rumbling, tumbling stones, bones, 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 sea dog licking his greasy paws. So it is actually helping you to create the image of a sea as a hungry dog. Remember, we tried understanding the sea, or we tried imagining the sea like a dog. We did various examples, and in the previous video also I've explained it to you in the fullest way. Then again, it is a restless dog image is being created. Third one is a peaceful time. So you will read the stanzas again and try to understand how the words are used to help you to create the images in your mind. Now, technique used. Technique is basically used in the poem is metaphor, I think. Metaphor, again I'm repeating, when we refer to something indirectly to one thing by mentioning another. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? Sea is a hungry dog. The poet is trying to create the image of a sea as a fierce dog. Fierce means somebody who is very dangerous, who is wild, untamed, unpredictable, any of these words. How is the poet doing it? First, so he initially starts by saying the sea is a hungry dog. Then it says shaking his wet sides over the cliff. So what is a hungry dog doing? There is a cliff. The hungry dog is coming here and shaking its side and sprinkling water. That also shows the image of hungry dog. Howls and hollows long and loud. So when somebody is restless, they start screaming. In the similar way, the sea is doing. Again, the poet has tried to compare it to a hungry dog with his head between his paws. Sometimes you just wait for something calmly. He lies on the sandy shore, so quiet, he scarcely snores. Now, there's one more thing that we need to understand, that these are the lines which are taken from the poem. The sea is a hungry dog, giant and grey. He rolls on the beach all day. What is the poet doing here? He has used a technique to make the writing interesting. Secondly, it is all imaginary. It is all imaginary. The poet has used descriptive words to create an image in our mind. ठीक है, अगर इसके अलावा मैं ऐसे आपको बोलती, I could see the sea from my window, the waves are touching the shore, I could hear the sound of the sea. It is not interesting. It is not that appealing. Why? Because there is no technique used. It is just a normal description. It is just a normal description. When we use imaginary things, when we use descriptive ways or a literary technique, the poem is created. But when we are just straight away writing the sentences without using any technique into it, it becomes a prose. Okay. Now we'll come to the workbook and start attempting it. Read the words or phrases from the poem. Take the image they create in your mind. With his clashing teeth and shaggy jaws, R upon R he knows. An image of a dog running on the seashore. An image of a dog happily munching on something. A fierce image of a dog clenching his teeth and biting. You have to tell me the answer. So what is, we have clashing teeth, shaggy jaws, R upon R he knows. Even if you do not know the meaning, what we will do, we will try to identify certain things. Clashing teeth, there's a word teeth here. Shaggy jaws, jaws are used to bite. R upon R he gnaws. Dog clenching his teeth. Up clenching, I think most of you will not be able to understand the meaning, or you don't know the meaning. It's absolutely fine. We can try to understand the meaning of this whole sentence by a hit and trial method as well. Okay. So this is the correct answer actually. And the difficult words, you're going to find the meaning yourself. No need to take help from your parents. You can identify it by reading the sentence 3-4 times. Now if I come to question number 2, read the lines from the poem. Explain how the poet is comparing the sea to a dog. The sea is compared to a hungry dog. The sea is compared to a hungry dog who is wild. We have done it. Or who is dangerous. Okay. Who is giant, huge and grey, and it rolls on the beach all day. Right. Next line. When the night wind roars. So here the sea is compared to a restless dog who is continuously snuffing and sniffing, is shaking his wet sides and howling and hollowing. That's it. Quiet days देखिए हमें समझ आ गया. It is comparing the sea to a calm dog. And what is the dog doing? He is quiet, lying on the sandy shore, anything. So this answer cannot be wrong for anybody. It's just we have to use certain words to construct a sentence. Last, read the two descriptions. How is the sea described differently in both? The rumbling, tumbling stones and bones, 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 bones. The giant sea dog moans, licking his greasy paws. Okay. And the second description comes here. The sea is vast. It covers 7/10 of the globe, and there was a time when he was only water everywhere and no land. So we have already done the first description is imaginary, and it has metaphor, full stop. The second description is of a prose and is realistic in nature. That's it. I will share the hint of the answers in your WhatsApp group. Okay, last. What image do the words in the stanza create in your mind? Take the correct answer. You are doing it yourself. Okay. The sea is a hungry dog, giant and grey. He rolls on the beach all day. What special technique or description is the poet using in the poem? So we have done, the poet is using which description? Metaphor. Right? How it is done? We can write the answers ourselves. Read the description. And the wheels kick, and the wind song, and the white sails shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face, and a great dawn breaking. The sea is described to a, you have to figure it out yourself. This is not that important. I would say not to concentrate on this kind of a question for exam purpose, but this is for your own imagination. Okay. Just try to read it, and parents, I would request you not to help them out with the answers. Let them figure out themselves. This is the only way they'll understand how to deal with the language. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.